Okay, so Doom: The Dark Ages has released in this past week, and at the time of this recording, and I've had the chance to be able to play it for a little bit. We've been doing a bunch of Doom related content. I just got done doing a video on why I think the 2005 Doom film is a bit underrated. I also did an unboxing video of the premium edition along with the limited edition Doom: The Dark Ages controller with the fabulous Lourdes. She's been on the show before, and we do have another video coming up soon pertaining to the 2019 Doom straight-to-video movie Doom Annihilation. And so today I want to talk to you about my initial thoughts on Doom: The Dark Ages, since it's one of the few rare games I've gotten on launch day, or if not a couple days before. I actually was able to play it 3 days early, not 2 days early, because I got the physical game early and there wasn't like a time lock on it. I was able to play it once it was installed. So yeah, this isn't going to be a review. I will be doing a review on Doom: The Dark Ages along with a tips and tricks video and a couple other videos, but for right now I'm just going to give you my initial thoughts on the first 10 levels and what I thought about the game. So, when looking at this game, I got the distinct feeling that when this game was initially created, the boardroom of the developers at id Software, they were having all these ideas thrown out. Like one guy said, "Hey, let's make a Captain America game." And another guy said, "Hey, let's do a giant robot fighting giant monsters game akin to like Pacific Rim. Maybe even a Pacific Rim game. Maybe we can get the rights to that." And then another guy was like, "Hey, how about we make a game set in the Dark Ages with swords and shields and, creatures and whatnot." And then one guy was like, "Hey, we should probably just stick to what we know how to do right. Let's just do another Doom game. Everyone loves Doom." And then the head of the entire company, listening to all this, he just was like, "Yes." I mean, that's how this game feels, because all those game ideas I explained to you are in this game. There's definitely a Captain America game in here. There's a Pacific Rim game. There's a medieval sword and sorcery game. There's a Doom game wrapped up in here. And I kind of really like it. It'd be wrong for me to say that there's not a Frankenstein's monster in here somewhere, because it does feel like many different games were pieced together into this one product. And one of the things I absolutely love about this game is the Slayer, the Doom Slayer. They absolutely nail the feel of the Doom Slayer in this iteration. Granted, the Doom Slayer was always kind of cool since 2016. I mean, in 2016 it felt like, okay, this is pretty cool, and then in Doom: The Dark Ages, okay, this is really cool, and now it feels like, okay, this is insanely badass. I mean, they've just peaked the Doom Slayer. And I mean, in this game, he feels like a thermonuclear weapon of mass destruction. And the way he is utilized in this game, he feels like a weapon of mass destruction. The line that is metal AF is in the first level when Thera just says, "The Slayer has been activated." Okay, I mean, there's some really great lines in this game. Probably one of my personal favorites is there's this demon talking about the Doom Slayer, and he just asks this question all the power of hell cowers before one man. And it's just that is such a hard line. I mean, that is a really awesome, badass line. I'm not going to deny. And one of the things they do a great job in this game is making you feel like the ultimate badass force of nature. You feel like a hurricane at times in this game. And what I mean by that is, like, one of the coolest aspects of the Doomslayer, they didn't need to do this, but it was just so awesome, is the thunder stomp. In the first level, I dropped from a high height, and when I landed, it sounded like a thunderclap, and you saw like this big gust of like wind shoot out from around you. Anytime you drop from a distance of over half a foot, that happens. So you can literally jump up in the air, and then boom, this like thunderclap ground pound happens. And apparently you could do small amounts of damage to enemies when you do this. And it is so insanely cool. Anytime I drop from a high height, I feel like a nuclear weapon, like just landing, getting ready to detonate. And it's really awesome. Now, in terms of like some criticisms I might have, I don't know if this is a detriment yet, but so far the story has been pretty vague as hell. Mind the pun. Like, I understand Doom games, the story's supposed to be third fiddle. It's not supposed to be the main focal point. And like in Doom 2016, I kind of felt the story was perfect. It was very minimalist, but you kind of got brought up to speed on anything that was really important. You knew who Samuel Hayden was. You knew who the one chick was. I need to play that game again after this. You kind of knew what was going on without having to have this intricate exposition dump given to you. And with Doom the Dark Ages, there's all these cutscenes, but I'm just like the entire time like, who's that? Who's that? What's this faction? What's this character? What's this location? And like the dossiers you find don't do good enough job filling in the backstory on stuff. It's like, okay, so there's this like medieval type kingdom, but they have ray guns and they can travel to other planets. So how is this the Dark Ages? I guess it's the Dark Ages because of the aesthetic, but it somehow feels more futuristic than what we have now. And so, like, I mean, at least with 2016's Doom, it felt like, okay, this is really far in the future, but it does feel like, okay, we might eventually have this technology one day. With the Dark Ages, it's just like, what time era is this? Is this even Earth? Is this like an alien species? I don't know, and they're not giving that to me. Now, I will say, in terms of story, one character I do really like is Thera, if I'm pronouncing her name right. There was some concern before this game came out when she popped up in the trailer. A lot of people were saying she's just going to be another like woke, girl boss, isn't she? And, people legitimately had reason to be concerned, because over the past couple of years, whenever you see any type of masculine lady in a video game, she 9 times out of 10 is going to be a very insufferable girl boss that's obnoxious and asshole to anyone who's not a woman, and just the worst part of the game. And so, yeah, that was a legitimate concern. But playing this game, Thera is probably one of my favorite characters that's not the Doomslayer. Yes, she does have a bit of a masculinity to her. She does feel a little bit like a tomboy, but here's the thing. In this world, best I can understand, the Sentinels, which is the faction she's part of, they have been fighting against the forces of hell for like thousands of years. The entire focal point of their society is warfare. Otherwise, they're dead. And she's also supposed to be taking the throne from her father at some point. So it's like, yeah, of course she's going to be a bit of a tomboy, a little bit masculine, because all she's focusing on is warfare. But the other reason why I like her so much is her interactions with the Doomslayer. Thera is, as far as I know, the only character in this game that actually treats the Doomslayer like a human being. Everyone else treats him like a weapon or a, evil thing that, they can't stand. She's the only person that actually talks to him like a human being. And it's kind of nice and refreshing seeing this female character not be the insufferable girl boss, but actually having some depth and layers to her. And seeing her interactions with the Doomslayer, it's kind of like, okay, I'm not expecting a romantic relationship with these two, but could we get like more scenes of these two interacting? I mean, like, one of my favorite scenes in the game so far has been she's like talking to the Doomslayer as he's like just prepping up for the next fight, and she's like, look, okay, so this is the situation. There's this MacGuffin, okay, and the forces of hell trying to get this MacGuffin, and if they get it, they could potentially be more powerful than you, and you and I, we need to try and stop them from getting this MacGuffin. And he just like looks at her and he just like nods, and it's like, okay, he's on the same page with her. Now, getting onto the gameplay, I will say that one of the aspects of the gameplay that I was really concerned about was the parrying system. The trailers really showed the Doomslayer doing a lot of parrying attacks, or blocking and returning attacks to the enemy if you don't know what parrying is. And generally in video games, I suck ass at parrying, okay? I do it like once in a game with over 1,000 combat counters. It's like, it's very rare when I can time a parry just right. Luckily in Doom, on normal, it's great. And each difficulty level gives you these sliders to determine how fast a parry or how slow a parry is going to be, how much damage or how little damage you do to enemies. And some people have criticized that makes the game way too easy, but I feel like it just gives people more options. If you want this game to be brutally hard, you can. If you want it to be a walk in the park, you can. And some people see that as a downside. I honestly don't, because sometimes I don't feel like playing through the game at its hardest. Sometimes when I'm playing a game again for the 4th or 5th time, I literally just want to coast through it. So, honestly, some of the times I might play this again, I might want to play on its easiest mode, or I might want to play it on its hardest mode, but don't make the enemies bullet sponges. That's one of the things I hate about most hard modes, is you're just unloading into an enemy, and they just have to like raise their gun once at you and fire once and you're dead. Halo. And so the fact that you could actually determine how much damage enemies do to you and you do to them on like the hardest difficulty, I'm actually intrigued to try the hardest difficulty, because I don't mind if enemies can one-hit kill me if I can one-hit kill them as well. Okay? I don't want them to be bullet sponges. I want it to be how quick am I on my feet. That's one of the things I loved about Doom 3's hard mode, not night mode difficulty, because the night mode difficulty just kept reducing your health down to 30. I'm talking about the hard mode before night mode difficulty. That was a fun mode because I had to stay on my feet, and if I got hit by an enemy, I deserved it. It wasn't this super cheap thing where I had to fire the BFG into an enemy 49 times and he just had to scratch me once. Another thing that intrigued me was the fact that 100%ing levels is really easy, much easier than other games I've played, even in this series. Take from that what you will. That might be a massive downside for you. It might be an upside for you. For me, I kind of liked it. I thought, okay, this is interesting. I think I might actually enjoy this. And I even replayed one of the levels because I only got to like 93%. And so I replayed it again to find that missing 7%. And so far, at the point of this recording, I've 100% every level up to like level 10. And so I'm going to try and 100% this game. Is it easier than other games? Absolutely. Especially since there is a thing in the up-hand corner of the map that tells you, okay, there's this many items there, here, here. And you can kind of go off a checklist. Like, okay, I got all those, I don't have all that. Okay, I need to find that. And so, you know, a couple times it'd be nice to have other games implement the things in this game that they did, where it's like, hey, you don't have everything yet. One of my favorite aspects of this game is on the map, there's a clear logo that tells you this is a point of no return. If you go past this, you can't look anywhere else back on the map you've already been. I love that so much. I wish every game did that, especially like God of War, because there's so many times it's like, okay, there's 2 routes. Which route should I take? Okay, I'll try left, and then a cutscene happens and you can't go back. It's like, what? I I didn't want to block off everything. And if on the map it showed that, like, hey, if you go this route, play no return. You can't go. I love that. Now, graphically, this game is really nice. Very gorgeous. But I want to wait for a few updates before I can give a definitive answer on if I think the graphics are that amazing or not, because I'm playing on the Xbox Series X version, and the only thing you can do with the graphics is change the gamma meter, and that's it. There's no performance or quality mode. There's nothing to set high dynamic range, and so I want to see this game on those. I want to see those implemented, and I'm fairly confident they will implement those at some point in the game. Although that being said, with the more intensive scenes, I have not seen any drop in frame rates whatsoever. It feels like it's staying at a constant, slick 60 frames per second, and that's really cool. I'm impressed that they were able to do that, even with some of the scenes where it was just like, you have like 100 enemies being thrown at you, and so everything seems to be staying pretty slick. So id Software did a really good job with that. And just another shout out, I'm glad that there's actually a game not being made on Unreal Engine 5. Nothing against Unreal Engine 5, but when everyone uses that for their game development, it's just, things are going to get samey feeling. And the fact that id Software still uses their own proprietary id Tech engine is kind of cool. And another thing that I think is really disappointing is, why is ray tracing a minimum requirement now on the PC end of things? It's probably the reason why this isn't doing that well on Steam, because not everyone has a graphics card that can do ray tracing, and so a lot of people are being left out in the dust because, hey, the minimum requirements to do the Dark Ages requires ray tracing. It's a lighting feature, okay? That shouldn't be a minimum requirement. And maybe developers will see, hey, if we make ray tracing forced, we're not going to have that many people playing on Steam. So maybe developers should stop having ray tracing as a minimum requirement. The weapons are really cool. There's a couple I don't ever really use, like the nail gun and then the single plasma rifle. I use like the double plasma rifle. It has a different name, but you know, I just call it the plasma rifle because that's what it is. But like, I've really been enjoying the weapons. I'm looking forward to seeing the alternate like things you can do with them. And then like the mech levels are insanely cool. Need some work though. I've heard some people say that the mech and dragon levels aren't good at all. Dragon levels, I would like them to have spent like another 6 months work on it, and like the mech, like giant mech levels, another 3 months. Like, you almost have it with the giant mech levels. Like, I was gritting from ear to ear on the giant mech levels, and it's just like, hey, a couple more attacks from the enemies, a couple more weapon options for the giant mech, and you're aces. And so, yeah, I've really been enjoying this game. It's been amazing. I'm looking forward to finishing up and doing the full review. These are just initial thoughts. This is not my review of Doom the Dark Ages. I just want to get this out there so that people could kind of see what my thoughts were and kind of get an idea if they should get it. This, I would say, is a must-buy, especially if you have a PlayStation 5 or preferably an Xbox Series X. Apparently, it's working better on the Series X right now than it is on the PS5, but that's sure to be fixed with patches and updates. And so, yeah, that's been my initial thoughts on Doom the Dark Ages. What have you guys been thinking about Doom the Dark Ages? Sing off in the comments down below. My name is Christopher Connell with 11 Hour Reviews, and that will be all for today.